God damn, that's beautiful.
So, this being a bigger movie as it is, and you're here watching this video, I imagine there's a good mix of you who have seen it and those who have not. I'll be touching on spoilery bits and explaining the general plot, so go ahead and leave if you're sensitive about that stuff, and certainly do not go down to the comment section. Let me get the first thing out of the way. Is the movie good? Yes, surprisingly enough, because I'll be honest, film Twitter was very convincing, saying that this movie was going to be unadulterated dog shit. Fuck me for taking those raging comrades seriously. I do think in terms of plot and narrative, it is the weakest of the three, and I will explain why later, but the reason being is relatively simple and can be condensed down to one word: multiverse. But what the movie falls on here and there, it makes up for in writing, with the lines, comedy and delivery by Ryan Reynolds being as sharp as always with Deadpool, because surprisingly enough, Disney did not neuter his testicles. So, general plot first. We follow Deadpool living a quiet civilian life as a car salesman after getting rejected from the Avengers. His life is not perfect, as evidenced by the breakup with Vanessa due to his apparent lack of enthusiasm for civvy life. He exists in this sort of boring limbo state, but all in all, he's satisfied living alongside close friends he considered his family. Shit goes tits up, however, when the TVA rocks in with fresh new fits from their Loki shenanigans on his birthday, and declare that the timeline is getting whammied due to the death of Logan, who's basically the main character of the whole timeline. Without him, the timeline is due for deletion. Good news for him, he is one of the people from this timeline that are going to be yanked out and plugged into the 6160 timeline alongside the Avengers, or whatever's left of them, and god do they need it. Rightfully pointed out by Deadpool many times over the course of this film, as he makes several jokes about Marvel being a bit of a clusterfucking mess of multiversal flops. Instead of taking this way out, Deadpool tells our villain numero uno, who happens to be British, named Paradox, not that Paradox, not the Ben 10 Paradox, no, this is another Paradox, this one's British, to fuck right off, as accepting this would require him to allow his friends to get absolutely fucking obliterated. He decides, screw it, if one Wolvie's the main character, and that Wolvie's dead, he just needs to replace him with another. One montage later, and he finds his Wolvie, a failure from another dimension with a bit of a tragic backstory, which I won't spoil for you. The montage of different variants is a nice touch, with variations of Wolverines from the comics, and more surprisingly, a cameo of, spoiler, skip forward by 10 seconds if you don't want to know who they cameo with, Henry Cavill as Wolverine. And Lord does it suit him, not gonna lie. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Unfortunately, as you might have pieced together from the trailers that have released, this does not go well for Mr. Poole, as he gets pruned alongside the Wolvie that he's kidnapped. I will point out real quick that he's drunk when this is all happening, which I'm a bit confused about, considering his healing factor should be burning that alcohol faster than he can drink it. He'd be sober half a second after he's done drinking the entire bottle. Anyways, a minor nitpick, something which Ava Tyson would be very interested in. Next chunk of the movie is spent in the void. We get our first major scuffle between Poole and Wolvie, and boy is it good. I have been waiting for this. Followed by a surprise cameo from an actor you probably didn't expect playing a character you definitely don't expect to be in this movie. But I just want to say, I called it. I just want to put that on the record. I knew who he was playing the moment he jumped down. Anyway, he doesn't last very long, as he is murked by our second/main antagonist, the Ancient One. Wait, no, that's not her. That's just another bald British lady that have very similar mannerisms and ways of speaking. Both villains in this movie are British, and what can I say? We make good baddies. Not to mention, she's crazy overpowered, ridiculously strong telekinesis, tactile telepathy, and what seems to be a very, very powerful healing factor. Regardless, they escape, fuck around for a bit, and we get 3 more cameos you would never expect. I certainly didn't anyways. One of them got me super hyped. I don't even know how they got away with it, considering the role has already been recasted in the MCU, and they had a line that basically said, "There's only one of me." Hardcore. There's a 4th cameo, but she got revealed in the trailer, so I can talk about her. X-23, or Laura from Logan, essentially serves primarily to motivate Depresso Expresso Wolvie out of his slump, which she does. We head into a large combat sequence against the telekinetic Ancient One's band of goons, with Deadpool and Wolvie going up to slap that bald head of hers. It works. They suppress her power, but they don't want to kill her, so they give her an anime pep talk, and she agrees to send them home using a sling ring taken from the variant of Doctor Strange. They arrive back to their dimension, and in the time it takes for them to get to the location where the big universe bomb pruning thing is being set up, Boldy has already had a change of heart. Essentially, her deal with the TVA was to be left alone in the void as her domain. They would not interfere with her, and vice versa. Unfortunately, British villain number 1 tried his luck, and Boldy decides, you know what, fuck you, I'm blowing up the multiverse. Very consistent character motivations in this movie here, lads. She goes down and starts powering up the bomb. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Wolvie have to fight a big mob of variants that come out of fucking nowhere. At this point, the variant thing is kind of overstaying its welcome, and it was losing me at this point in the movie. And then the most glorious thing since Captain America picking up Mjolnir happened. Skip ahead 20 seconds or something if you don't want to know, cause boys, he gets the fucking cowl. He puts the goddamn cowl from the actual comic book accurate suit on for the fight. Holy mother of fucking fuck, bro. Finally! Bro, when I tell you I was giddy, I was giddy. I mean, kicking my feet and shit, bro. I didn't care for the stakes of this fight sequence at all, but it was shot really, really well. And as with the rest of the choreography in this movie, coupled with the sick comic book accurate suits, oh bro, it was enough to make me tear up. The fight ended in typically humorous fashion, so the two could get going on stopping the machine. In order to do so, one of them essentially had to sacrifice themselves. This scene was fucking great. The soundtrack was glorious. Deadpool showing off his more heroic side, power of friendship, bullcrap, you know the drill. I won't go further into it, but goddamn, all I will say is Hugh Jackman still, to this day, still has a fine pair of abs. So, let's zoom out, talk more broadly about some things I liked and didn't like. Starting with the story. Generally speaking, I think the story meanders a little bit aimlessly at times, with individuals such as Baldy swapping character motivations to extremes somewhat flippantly, and things just kind of happen sometimes. The latter part of Act 2 and some of Act 3 are definitely examples of this, where it really starts to drag a bit in terms of agency and shit just kind of happening. Thankfully, it never drifts for so long it actually knocks you out of the story, dragging you back in either with Reynolds' never-ending charisma or a really tight action sequence. Now, why that is, I imagine, is probably because of the multiverse bullshit. Ignoring the fact that the multiverse concept has been beaten to death and had its corpse skinned for cash without many actually new interesting ideas, there's always been a struggle in the writing rooms of Marvel to incorporate such a gargantuan idea into a consistent story. More often than not, the whole thing is condensed to the most cookie-cutter variant number 432 ABC kind of thing possible. Looking at you, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because the depths of your madness was a world with red for go and green for stop on a traffic light where food was free. What the fuck? Infinite possibilities, and there's been consistent failures to draw real interest into these alternatives because they all play it really, really super safe. I can't think of a single really interesting concept that the multiverse saga has pulled out apart from maybe Loki, the only product from Marvel which felt like it scratched that itch. But even then, the show had places where it drifted, lost the plot, and then meandered its way back to where it ought to be by the ending, which was fucking fabulous. Hell, the greatest multiverse thing I've seen are No Way Home, Spider-Verse, and even more than both of those, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is the real multiverse of madness and the single greatest piece of media I've seen exploring the concept of alternative realities. Deadpool, while he jokes about this multiversal thing being overdone, is guilty of some of these same errors then, because he does the same variant spewing bullshit. However, it manages to reel you back in with a combination of fucking great dialogue, which is both consistently delivered fantastically, great comedy, but also real hot, and that leads to the best part of the movie, really. Wolverine and Deadpool doing literally anything together is something I would pay to see. I mean, this movie made me want to sit down and see these two characters just stare at the camera for 2 hours straight and do whatever the hell they wanted, and I would still pay the 12 quid ticket price and the extortionate popcorn prices to see it. Every interaction between the characters in this movie was so damn worth the wait, and while before I was skeptical because of Hugh Jackman's age, fuck that, I need to see him again with Ryan Reynolds expeditiously. It's actually peak. From if they were bantering to each other, if they were beating the dog out of each other, which, by the way, they do a lot. Hell, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, Deadpool beats the dog out of some other guys using Wolverine. No context here, go watch the film, which directly leads to the next fabulous thing. The choreography was great. That's it. That's the whole point. Yep, creative, just as gory as before. Marvel did not pull back there and just felt like several comic book panels splashed onto the big screen in all its wacky glory, especially with some of the poses they had for Wolverine, for example, running on all fours, the mid-air poses. It's actually fire. Okay, yeah, go watch the movie to form your own opinion. Don't mindlessly agree or whatever. Follow on some of the other socials I've got in the description. We got a Discord, that's pretty cool. We got a Twitter, that's pretty cool. Subscribe or I'll prune you from the timeline.